Okay, so now we will discuss the add configuration annotation. Now, let's imagine the next scenario. As we see here, we have this person controller and we have this logger, which it isn't a bean in our application context. We use this logger factory, it's from this package, and basically this get logger behind the scenes, it will instantiate my logger. If we see here, probably somewhere it will be something like a new logger, and it will instantiate. Now let's imagine that in Java, as you know, it's an open source. So basically you can use external libraries to your project. Now let's imagine that you want to use an external library. Let's say you want to build something like, I don't know, maybe a calculator app. And instead of doing all these manual things, you import an external library. And that external library has objects. And let's say that those objects, you want to explicitly register them into your application context. You can't go to the library which you imported and add the add component annotation because it's an imported library. So how would you do this? Basically, we'll create here a new class. Let me put the config package. Let me put configuration, and here I will annotate with the add configuration annotation. Okay, because I have the same name, let me just put my configuration. Let me annotate with the configuration annotation, and behind the scenes this add configuration annotation is doing exactly the same, the add component annotation, but it has a lot of inbuilt features. But usually your configuration class is something that you use this class. The responsibility of this class is to configure something in your application, as the name suggests. So in our case, we want to, in our example, I want to add this logger object to my bean context. How would I do this? Because this is an external library. I can't go here and put this here, this add component, because this file is read only. And how would I do this? So I'm going to go to my add configuration and I'm going to use the add bean annotation. When you use the add bean annotation, you specifically declare and register an object to your application context. So I'm going to use logger, and I'm going to return logger factory get logger this get class. And behind the scenes, when Spring will fire the application, it will register this class into my application context, and this also it will run this method and it will register this specific logger into my application. And now I can use this as I have used all my components. So I can go here, I can delete this, and I can add private final logger, and I will just add this to my constructor. And now if I start the application, you will see I have no problem. So let me person controller constructor called. You can see here. Now let me go to my configuration. Let me just put a simple system out println logger called. Let me just start. Let me find this. You can see system out println has been called because this method has been run by Spring based on the add bean annotation. Now if I delete this and restart this, I will have an error, and the error will be something like this. In person controller, Spring is trying to add this bean into context, and it's successful, but it's also trying to add this bean into context. And you can see parameter 1 of constructor person controller, so this parameter 1, because this is from 0, parameter 0 and parameter 1, cannot be found. I can't find this in the context, and he is suggesting something. Hey, maybe you should add a bean of this type in your configuration. So this is what we did here. So if I use the bean again, I will have no error whatsoever. Now if I use this something like my special logger and do this, and I find my special logger, you can see that it has created a shared instance of singleton bean. It has auto-wired in-person controller this constructor, and it has registered the bean in my application context. So basically that configuration annotation is basically you will use this in your classes, which you do some configuration for your application, like, you know, register beans from external libraries, or maybe do some extra configuration where we will discuss about databases and web application and so on. But for now, I just want to show you that configuration annotation. This also is being added to my bean context. So for example, if I find my configuration, you will see that I have also this bean added based on the add configuration annotation. And if we remember, this Spring Boot application behind the scenes inherits this free annotation. But if we go here, we see that this annotation also inherits the add configuration. So basically my class here, it's also add configuration annotation, and based on that add configuration, it registers this class into your context. So this is that configuration annotation, and also you've learned about the add bean annotation.